The gambling world of Las Vegas knows a top entertainer when it sees one, and that's why the Las Vegas Hilton has signed up boxing's most flamboyant champion for a series of world title fights. The IBF Featherweight holder, Jorge Paez, is equally at home in the ring, whether it be as a circus acrobat or an aggressive boxer. The Mexican with the weird haircuts, the strange garb and the showbiz antics is fast becoming a big hit both in the States and on fight night. Last month, Fight Night viewers saw Paez make an impressive fifth defense in Reno, Nevada. Now he moves south in the state to Las Vegas to make the first of 4 scheduled defenses this year. His opponent is Troy Dorsey from Texas.
Well, I read him up there with the real good champions in the ring. But before the fight and some of his antics after and before and during even, I don't rate him very high at all.
Why is that?
I just don't respect some of the things that he does. I think he brings boxing down.
This will be the 3rd time that we've seen the amazing Jorge Paez on Fight Night. The previous 2 were terrific contests. He outpointed Barry McGuigan's conqueror, Steve Cruz, in an August defense that produced fine boxing, mad moments, and flips. Then last month, he stopped the brave Lupe Gutierrez in 6 rounds. His latest defense is against Steve Cruz's sparring partner, Troy Dorsey, who gets his chance after 2 big upset wins against other top contenders. Now, this will be the 29th world title fight staged here at the Las Vegas Hilton in the last 4 years, and it makes it the busiest fight site in town. There have been plenty of upset results at the Hilton, but never such a weigh-in drama has preceded this fight. Troy Dorsey was right on the 9-stone limit, no problems for him. But Paez had big troubles and seemed to know it before even stepping on the scales. He needed 4 visits in the end to make the weight in Reno. This time, he was a staggering 2.5 pounds over and needed 4 hours in Las Vegas to get it off. He just made it. Paez, who has held this title since August 1988, has a fine record of 33 wins with 25 knockouts, 2 defeats and 2 draws. Dorsey's record keeps changing. It's now officially 10 wins, 2 defeats and 2 draws.
7 wins by way of knockout.
Your commentators are Jim Watt and Reg Gutteridge.
Well, this could be a tough one, I think, for Paez, because that weight-making, Jim, is really getting a strain for him, and he's on and off the scales all the time. So even if he wins this, and assuming he will, he's obviously the betting favourite in Las Vegas. It could be his last defence at the featherweight limit. He probably will now go up to super featherweight. And I don't know what that haircut's all about. It may be helping him to slip punches, and he may need to, because Troy Dorsey's a real tough hombre, as they say in Texas, managed by Dave Gorman, who not only had Steve Cruz, but also Don Curry and Gene Hatcher, world champions. And Gorman, good boxing judge, has said, my man's liable to walk right through him. Well, maybe he's being a bit too ambitious. I don't know how you describe those trunks. They're sort of embroidered skirt, I call it. Sort of Batman stuff, isn't it? Haven't seen Dorsey before, Jim. The other Dorsey's also playing here, a fellow called Engelbert Humperdinck now. Referee's Carlos Padilla, well known, of course, in Las Vegas, which now considers itself the mecca of boxing. And this particular site at the Hilton has some upsets over the years, and it's also the ring where Mike Tyson won his first world championship against Trevor Berbick. Well, what we've seen at the opening round like this is going to be a walk forward, typical Gorman-style tough fighter. Dorsey, he's a decent puncher too. Do you think it's going to be a close quarter, Jim, judging from the opening minute and a bit?
Yeah, I would say so. Dorsey is normally an aggressive type of fighter, and the fact that Paez has taken 4 visits to the scales before he actually passed the scales, then Dorsey must have in his mind that he's the man who must set the pace. Paez will be looking for a little bit of rest here and there just to get his breath back. Dorsey must set the pace, and he certainly did that in the first round. It's a good opening round so far for the challenger.
Well, he's just not doing enough work, is he, Paez? So he's going to be around down here. I like the way he's giving you the signals as the punches are coming in there, Dorsey. You know they're on the way. And he's obviously going to work to the body there to try and tire the Mexican champion. Great colourful character, but obviously really beginning to be drained at this weight. And I would think the IBF would be concerned about that. Well, he wanted to go on fighting and ignore the bell there, Dorsey. He really fancies this job, doesn't he? Jim, in replay.
Yeah, well, that was a few of the counters that Paez come back with, but it was still Dorsey's round. Dorsey was there all the way.
Out for the second then. Scheduled, of course, for 12 rounds. Although Paez, in fact, won his championship against Calvin Grove in August '88 over 15, because the IBF were the last ones to ban the 15-round distance and pull it back to 12. Not only does he have to take punches around the body, Jim, those shorts seem to be weighing him down a bit as well, don't they? Although he manages his backflips with them on. He's a bit like his stablemate Gene Hatchard, isn't he? Dorsey walks in and bangs away like that.
Yeah, and he's good at what he does, Reg. He keeps his chin down nice and low. He rubs his forehead on Paez's shoulder and sometimes on Paez's face. He's used a little bit of shoulder in the first round, elbow, so he is a rough little handful. So Paez, I think, is going to have to start trying to push him back. He's having problems already here.
It's obviously the Dave Gorman game plan here, because he knew that Dorsey had no chance of trying to stand up long range and outbox Paez. He's got to get in there and really mix it. Oh, and he opens it up. Good shot with the left hand there, the hook that turned right on Dorsey's jaw, but there's no count being taken up, I don't think. Yes, just starting it. He's making sure that he went to a neutral corner. It's important now, that, of course, that the referee doesn't take the count up from a timekeeper until he's assured that the other fellow's away in a neutral corner. Well, I wonder now whether that will just dampen Dorsey's enthusiasm, Jim.
Well, I don't think so. He looks like the kind of fellow who just does things the one way. He's had a bit of success recently in his career. I don't think that will affect him too much. It seems already to have spurred him on. And he wasn't really badly hurt. He almost met himself coming back up again. It was just a touchdown and straight back up, so he wasn't really hurt. Good punches put him over, but he wasn't really hurt.
Actually, the British and European champion Paul Hodgkinson would be hoping that Paez will continue as a featherweight, because he's the #1 contender by the IBF, and that would be some fight. But I really almost made up my mind that Paez just can't come in at 9 stone anymore. They could have had this fight in a telephone booth, Jim. They don't need this ring.
Yeah, well, I think that this battle suits both of them. Paez likes the close quarter stuff too.
Well, Padilla just saying be careful after the bell, but I don't think either of them complained. They would just continue. Jim, the replay, the knockdown.
You know, the left hook was the one. He over it comes, bang. A couple of good punches, a little bit of loss of balance, but good punches at the same time.
And again, when they were backed on the ropes there's some exciting stuff there. The referee's staying well away from this. He's just letting them get on with it. There's no holding. They're punching freely. Tough-looking man, isn't he? And he's had some hard things to say about Paez. Possibly is right. Criticising his antics before and after, and as he says, sometimes during. There was one contest where he followed the rounds board lady around. So 2 rounds out of the way now, And they've really been able to size each other up because they've been like a couple of stags head-to-head there. And in the sports room at the Hilton, 3-1 on they were with Paez, and Dorsey 6-1 against. Well, the way it's going now, I wouldn't want to. I think that maybe the bookies are wondering what those odds are all about, because it's going to be a bit closer than that, I would think. Long way to go.
Paez's punches are better than Dorsey's, more accurate, and he really is turning his hip and his shoulder as he throws the punch. Dorsey's flailing away a little bit. A lot of his punches are landing on Paez's arms, and the ones that are getting through are not really troubling him. That may be the difference as this fight wears on. Paez, although weight problems, he seems that little bit stronger.
Picked him off well there, Dorsey. Using that uppercut there, picking his spot for a change. Well, it doesn't look as though it will go 12 rounds, but if it does, 2 American judges and 1 Mexican, the referee doesn't vote. Oh, what a good fight again. One thing about Paez, not only is he colourful, he can fight a bit, Jim, too, can't he? He almost makes the other man fight.
Well, he really lands good punches spot on the target. I wonder maybe if he moves up a weight, if he would actually have a lot more power. I mean, these punches are bang on, but in a couple of his previous fights, would you expect an opponent to be stopped in his tracks or even knocked over? They keep coming through, so it's possible when Paez, if he does move up a weight, that there'll be a lot more power in his punches.
It's good to see a referee standing off like that, Jim, and not getting finicky about calling break all the time, as they certainly do in amateur boxing.
Yeah, but they are punching all the way through. They're not really clinching. Some rough stuff going on, but there are always punches being thrown, so the referee just wants to stay out of there.
Well, if I was a fighter, I wouldn't particularly want to meet Mr. Paez in the ring, and I certainly don't want to meet his barber. It looks as though he's bored with the whole proceedings, Paez, as if to say, can I get on with the fancy stuff at the end? And there's the American directors, always like to show a bit of slow motion at the start of the next round, Jim. It's a bit unusual, that, isn't it? And it looks as though he's got Dorsey winning that little spell there. A bit disconcerting, really, while the other round's in progress. And there it is, then into round 4, of course. This referee will always be famous if Filipino lives in Vegas, but he handled the great thriller in Manila between Ali and Frazier. Paez seems to enjoy being propped against the ropes, Jim. It's a bit risky for a champion.
Yeah, he started showing off a little bit now, dropping his hands. Wouldn't surprise me if he's whispering in Dorsey's ear there. But he's been the one who's been pinned on the ropes for most of the time. See, there he goes again, dropping his hands, just looking at his opponent with insult, if you like.
Certainly Dorsey's manager did everything he could, not only to get his man the title shot, but to make sure that Paez made the weight. He even waived the 2-hour rule to make the weight on the scales and gave him 4 hours. Well, they need not have the rule at all, Jim, if a manager can bend them like that in his favour.
Yeah, but I think we've found too often in the past rules that are there to be changed and bent and so forth. But if I was managing Dorsey, I'd be quite pleased if the champion was needing 4 hours to make the weight. That's good news, obviously, for the challenge. It gives him a better chance of winning the title. And I think as a manager, Gordon's done the right thing here.
think that's Paez's favourite camera position there, Jim. I think some smart American cameraman has said, do you mind staying over there? It's easy for us to cover it. I said a telephone booth they could fight in, they could fight on a handkerchief.
When Paez goes to work, his punches are still better than Dorsey's, better quality punches, but for me, not enough. He's going to have to become a little bit busier. His punches aren't having an effect in Dorsey, so he's going to have to throw more of them, take the play away, but Dorsey's still full of fight.
Well, the thing is, in the fourth round now, Jim, there's certainly nothing in this, and I'm wondering how the judges are going to score this one. So out for round 6 then, and the tough-looking Dorsey, well, the pattern was the same in the 5th round, Jim, and I thought maybe Dorsey just about won that round anyway in the 5th, but it depends really on how the judges are scoring with the quality of punches, as you were saying, whether they think that Paez is hitting cleaner and harder, and that would count.
Well, I do feel all the way through Paez's punches have been classier, better delivered, but I don't, in some of the rounds, it just hasn't been busy enough. Obviously, he has to think seriously about how he's going to pace this fight, the trouble he had making the weight. But he's let a couple of rounds slip away from him.
He's gnawing away inside there, Dorsey, the whole time, but like arms going backwards and forwards like a dog burrowing for a bone. Now, he's used the ring a bit more, Jim, Paez, in previous fights that we've had on Fight Night, hasn't he?
Yeah, and Paez usually likes to back up an opponent and get the leverage into his punches. But we don't know how much stress to put on the fact that he's trouble at the weight. He doesn't look weak. He doesn't look to be tiring at all. He just seems to be pacing himself maybe a little bit too carefully.
So he's got a strip of plastic over there, Jim, and not a haircut, doesn't it? Good round again for Dorsey, surely, because as you say, it's all very well doing all that take no notice, I'm still here, you're not hurting me stuff that Paez is doing. He's got to get on and win this fight. It would certainly be in Paez's favour if he could win and retain the championship and then move up in weight and not move up as a defeated champion.
Dorsey's certainly in charge again here, Reg.
Not a great deal of power in the punch, though, Jim, is there? Although I certainly wouldn't like to take any of those, but as featherweights go, there's a lot harder punches around.
Yeah, but they're getting through now. Paez's defence, he doesn't seem to be paying the same attention that he was paying earlier. And the punch, see, a lovely right hand there from Dorsey. The punches are now getting through. Whereas in the first couple of rounds, he was landing a lot of his punches on the arms and shoulders and the back of the head. Now they're getting through on the target.
Well, I don't think the judge will have any problem with this round. Dorsey, definitely. And he does try the after bell punch. Now then, it's Dorsey coming in, Jim, in replay. Have a look at this one then.
Oh, well, some good punches from Dorsey. That was a lovely right hand there. That's probably the best punch of the round for him.
Well, as they say, almost from nowhere. He's only rated number 6 by the IBF Troy Dorsey in round 7. And I would have thought now has got to be a bit in front. Now, that's unfair use of the ropes, and Padilla's got a warning for that. Quite right. He's probably saying, come on, man, that's part of my style, but that's strictly out. I say this for the Dave Gorman stable in Texas, Jim. He gets his men into good shape, doesn't he? I mean, Curry at his best was magnificent.
Yeah, Curry obviously a completely different type of fighter. to Dorsey. A real classy fighter. But here Dorsey again with his head on Paez's shoulder. Good rough little fighter. He's learned a few tricks in his short career. And his tactics have been pretty obvious right from the offside. He's the one who wants to set the pace, make Paez work if possible, drag the energy from him.
Yeah, he's got a lot of this fitness and style, I think, Jim, from kickboxing. I've never been a fan of that particular sport, actually. But he had a very good record as a kickboxer. Only lost 1 of 30 and didn't have an actual amateur career. You think that those noises that Dorsey was making, that he was the one that was receiving the harder punches, Jim, but in fact that's the style. I know certainly the West Ham Boxing Club all used to do that. You could hear them the moment you came in the hall that was a West Ham lad with the noise they made.
See, Dorsey's gone back a little bit to his earlier style, just throwing the punches, not really being as accurate. Paez is managing to catch a lot of these punches. The fact that Dorsey's making the noise makes them seem a little bit more ferocious.
Yeah, maybe that's why he does it. Absolutely. And the corner they're calling, you might have heard that, Maromero. That's a circus name for flipper. Well, I hope that Paez moves around the circus ring a little bit livelier than he's doing on this fight anyway. And as I say, a lot of champions are beaten by the scales. So now I wonder what manager Manuel Leal is saying to Paez. Hey, listen, there's not a lot in this, but you could be behind. You may have one Mexican judge might be in your favor. And here's Dorsey.
He's going to be looking to land one big punch. You got to always be looking for it, but keep throwing punches.
He's playing possum on you. He's letting you land out. He's trying to get you out just far enough to land a big bomb. Now,
Step to your right and throw a straight right. You got it. You don't.
Power in these shots.
Well, there you are, playing possum, Jim. That means pretending he's hurt, of course. Very, very Texan, wasn't it, that corner chat? I like that.
Yeah, I think one of Paez's problems, he's been playing possum far too often and for too long. It's now time to try to back Dorsey up. He hasn't even tried to back Dorsey up all the way through. He's been quite happy just to move on to the ropes. At the beginning of this round, he just stands in his corner, waits for Dorsey to come over. I really feel it's time he started trying to push Dorsey back. Dorsey wouldn't be half the fighter he is if Paez pushed him back.
Yeah, well, the last fight we saw with Paez against Gutierrez was a really good, tough fight as well for a while. But this fella's definitely giving him the hardest now in his 6th defence. He's had 1 or 2 close ones. Even winning the championship with Calvin Grove was a split decision. And in a way, Jim, it's because Paez seems to allow the opposition to get almost the upper hand before he does anything. He gives away too much.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He just stood waiting for Dorsey to come over, then he backed himself onto the ropes. He's trying to come out now to the centre of the ring. Here he's pushing Dorsey off. That's what he has to do. He has to start using his own strength. He's not a big one-punch knockout specialist, but he has a strong featherweight. He should be using that strength to push this man back. If he could back Dorsey up, then he would take away most of what Dorsey does best.
Bit of holding and hitting going on, but the dealer's letting him get on with it. Watch the head there. He's calling to Dorsey, but I don't think he'll take much notice of that because they're both boring in like that. But there's nothing boring about the fight. They're trying to hold him off like that. I mean, Ali was good at that, Jim, and maybe he's paid the price for behaving like that as well. And it's just not Paez's style, is it, to do this? It's got to be the weight, surely.
Yeah, but he doesn't look, as he moves around, his legs seem strong enough. When he sets to work, his moves and his punches seem to have plenty of strength in them. It just seems to be his attitude. See, here he goes, standing there, you know, as though he's waiting for a bus. No panic, no urgency in his work.
And there's the mother of Troy Dorsey. She's got to be getting excited, hasn't she, now? Really got a shot of winning the championship, almost out of nowhere. Come on, let's go back again, he says. I mean, I'm only smiling at that because it's so ridiculous. Well, he walks back to the corner as if to say, how long have we got to keep this up for? I'm a bit disappointed in Jim. In replay, we see now how they hit and hold a bit here. Explain that to us.
Yeah, he's just trying to push Dorsey off balance to take the power out of his punches, but Dorsey was still in the rules, but he's breaking the rules.
So the famous striped shirts then in Las Vegas timekeepers. We're into round 9. And on sheer punch rate, work rate, as it were, Jim, I've got Dorsey in front.
Yep, Dorsey really has had a good spell the last 3 rounds. He's been forcing the pace, throwing a lot more punches than Paez. Even if they're not all getting through, he's landing a lot more punches than Paez has done.
The ringsiders look a bit blasé. That's typical of Las Vegas in this all-carpeted arena. A beautiful room in the Hilton. $250 for ringside seats. And about 4,500 now. We call it a room, but it's some convention hall. Looks like Dorsey could fight all night, Jim. He probably regrets that the IBF no longer allow the 15 rounds championships.
Well, Dorsey's been setting the pace. It's always easier to keep it going when you're the man who is setting the pace. He's trying to, I think he's been trying to force Paez to work a bit harder. But Paez hasn't been drawn into that. He's been losing a lot of rounds because of it. But he's saving a lot of strength. I don't know if he's looking for a strong finish, but I think it's time now to raise the pace, time now for the champion to raise the pace.
Just those spasms coming from Paez there when he starts to look a classier looking fight again with a left hook to the body. And then he shuts up for a while. The way he's stopping everything coming at him there, Jim, he'd make some football club a good goalkeeper.
So often we've seen Paez backed onto the ropes. Again, when he goes to work, his punches are far classier, more powerful than Dorsey's, but he's still not throwing enough.
Well, it's certainly a good action fight, isn't it? That's one thing about Paez, you're guaranteed to get a good one, and having said that, it looks as though Dorsey's never been in a bad fight in his life. In fact, when he won the North American Boxing Federation title against Harold Rhodes in Montana, the report in the trade paper, Boxing News, really went overboard and said it's one of the best fights that their reporter had witnessed. And that fight, strange enough, Paez went to see. So he must have known that Dorsey was going to give him some trouble. Jim, in replay.
Well, again, Dorsey pressing forward. Some better punching from Paez, but again, not enough of them.
Well, Dorsey's corner have got to be pleased with that, but it's still a bit close, I would think. Out for round 10. And And I'll bet now, Jim, that the judges are saying, well, if only somebody could score a knockdown, we might be able to make a clear round. I don't know how the odds players feel about this now in Vegas, but I would think it's close, and I'm leaning a bit with Dorsey. What about you?
Yeah, I feel the same way. Dorsey has never stopped working since the first bell sounded. Paez, far too often in a lot of the rounds, has just been standing on the ropes, okay, smiling and making little faces to the challenger, but he's not been working. Dorsey, although some of his work hasn't really been landing in target, he's never stopped working, he's never stopped throwing punches, so I would have to have him in front at this stage.
Well, the Mexican Batman has got to do something a bit spectacular, I would think, in the closing stages.
Watch your head, watch your head.
Yeah, he continually saying that, the referee Padilla there, watch the head. I imagine Dorsey, if he's addressing Dorsey, and presumably he is, he will probably say, what about Paez? He does the same. I'm beating him at his own game. Another good round, Jim. Tremendous pace.
Yeah, I got the feeling that Paez tried to punch his way out of the corner there, using some of his power, but he didn't manage to do it. Dorsey pinned him in there. And there's still a little bit of shoulder from Dorsey again. A real rough little handful, but he's given Paez all the trouble he can handle.
Well, if he can get this decision, Jim, then they could make a Paul Hodgkinson and Troy Dorsey fight. I think even I might pay to see that one.
Well, probably the fact that Dorsey doesn't have the same power that Paez has, he would be a better opponent for Hodgkinson. But obviously he's going to give anybody trouble, and he must be in here with a great chance of becoming champion, because again, he hasn't stopped punching. Paez has been far busier in this round. I think maybe his corner have told him, come on, it's time to get to work. They must feel maybe they're in trouble. See, again, Paez tried to come out the corner then, but Dorsey pins him straight back in again.
Well, the only thing that's dazzling about Paez in this fight has been his trunks. That us old wrinklies might have called. The great Alex James was the inventor of those.
Dorsey's work has lost a little bit of its power in this round, Reg. I wonder if he's feeling the pace now.
Oh, and after the bell there, do you mind? And he's calling them both together now. Sorry, I didn't mean it. Oh, there you are, Jim. Let's have a look at this after bell nonsense. There he goes again there. And I don't think Paez was too worried about that. Oh, it looks as though he might peck him on the cheek. We don't need that. And there you go now. The American director has got this replay going. They'd be in trouble a little bit if there was a quick knockdown as the bell goes, Jim, with that. 11th round then. And play resumed. Back in the same part of the pitch there.
I thought Dorsey's work was losing a little bit of its snap towards the end of the 10th round, but he started the 11th again full of fire, but we'll see if he manages to maintain the pace. I get the feeling maybe he was beginning to feel the pace.
Paez, having seen Dorsey, as I said earlier, fighting Harold Rhodes, must have known that this fellow could fight all night. He's probably the fittest fellow he's ever fought. Well, almost in the centre of the ring, Jim. They should take a picture of that for posterity, shouldn't they?
Yeah, but we'll now see who pushes who back, and just as I'm saying it again, Dorsey is the man with a little bit extra strength, pushing the champion back. Paez is making an effort here now to push Dorsey back. We'll see if he manages to do it. He hasn't managed to do it earlier.
Trying to think of a championship fight, Jim, that we might have seen where both fighters are standing so close to each other for what is now the entire 11 rounds. I mean, no daylight between them at all, is there?
Although they've been so close all the way through, there haven't really been too many calls for break, no clinches.
No, they wouldn't win a Best Stylist Awards at the Olympic Games, wouldn't they? No fancy dance stuff here. Apart from criticising Dorsey's lack of power, or are we underestimating Paez's ability to take a punch? I've been impressed with the Texan.
Yeah, I think the fact that a lot of Dorsey's work hasn't landed in Paez's chin. Paez has managed to keep his chin out of harm's way. But I really feel that Dorsey has never stopped punching all the way through from the first bell. And there's a good chance Reg has got him in front. I certainly feel up to this point he deserves to be champion.
Oh, extra time? No, almost. And he really does slump on that stool there, there's no doubt about it. And the crowd there, I think, sensing now that the Texan can win. And very big support, in fact, for Paez. The Mexicans getting over the border here to see this man. He's very popular. So, Jim, in replay.
Paez far busier this round than the previous round. Dorsey's, a lot of power has gone out of Dorsey's work, but he's still driving himself forward, still full of ambition.
Well, it looks as though he needs a couch to lie on rather than just a corner stool there. This fella must be feeling really on top of the world, but wondering now how the decision will go. As I say, 2 American judges, and that's Dorsey's pretty wife, and she looks as though she stepped out of one of those famous Texas TV soaps. So the final round then, and just that friendly touch almost there, as if to say, well, we're both glad it's going to be all over in 3 minutes. Non-stop action, this. Well, we saw a draw in a World Championship fight, Jim, where they didn't throw hardly any punches between Mr. De Leon and Nelson. They haven't stopped punching here, and I'm wondering if a draw is possible.
Well, anything's possible, Reg. Las Vegas, famous for strange decisions over the years. Hopefully we won't see a strange one here. I wouldn't like to see a draw after this. But I really feel that the work Dorsey has done all through the contest could give him a slight edge. Paez's work has always been better. His punching has been more accurate. But how often have we seen what we're looking at now? Paez with his back against the ropes, trying to fend off the challenger.
Both of them, in fact, have both got 2 drawn decisions on their records, but as you say, Jim, they've got to find a winner here. And yes, unless something happens now in his last minute and a half, then I would say Dorsey deserves it anyway. Whether he'll get it is another thing. That's what he was capable of doing in his better days, as they say, Paez. Maybe that weight dragging, and now he knows he can let things go in the last round, because he's really got to use every punch he can land now.
See, Dorsey just keeps pumping out the punches. They're not really quality punches, but he just keeps pumping them out non-stop all the way through. Paez's punches certainly have been classy when he gets to work. I don't really feel he's done enough work to hang on to his title, but who knows, the Americans may score for defensive ability. He has managed to keep his chin out of harm's way for a lot of the time. But for me, Dorsey all the way through because of the volume of punches.
Tremendous finish as well. And certainly the 6-1 underdog has fought what may be for him the fight of his life, and I think he deserves some reward from it. So the last 10 seconds then, and there can't be a knockout now anyway. The bell would go, and the crowd on their feet at the finish. Paez looking better in this round. Had he started at work a little bit earlier, then there would be no doubting the decision, but there will be now. And certainly the Texan supporters think that their man has won, and he certainly does. Paez is trying to say, what about me? So now it's up to the judges, and here's Jimmy Lennon, the MC, with the verdict.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 championship rounds of boxing, we have a split decision. Judging ringside, Jorge Ramirez scores the bout 114-113, Jorge Paez.
Well, the music started early, and the Mexican judge is giving it 1 point to Paez. Dorsey gets it there by 2 points. And he's still champion, 1 point. The American Bird is giving it to Moretti, went 2 points for Dorsey. And, well, I didn't agree with that, and I don't think you did either, Jim. And certainly Dave Gorman doesn't, throws his hat out of the ring instead of into it. Well, Dorsey looks a bit worried about that. And here's Gary Newbon with him now.
Troy, you must be staggered by that decision. It looks as if you'd won.
I'm really disappointed. I thought I had it. That's what I get for thinking. I'm just really disappointed.
And score 100 punches around. You know, what do you got to do to win a fight? It's ridiculous.
Do you think he got the verdict because he was a champion?
Just being champion doesn't mean that you can get outscored 90 punches to 10. That's crazy.
Champions get beat too. Champions get beat.
Yeah, but sometimes if they're not sure, they sometimes give it the champion, Dave.
It's not close. Wasn't that close. It really wasn't. Wasn't close enough to argue about it. The people out there who saw the fight know who won the fight.
Is that how you plan to do it? Just keep in tight on him all during the fight?
Yeah, that's how I plan to do it right there, just like what I did. I wasn't able to hit him in the body as much as I thought I might be able to. He was bent over, so it was back a little farther away. But I was still scoring repeatedly. The people in Europe know. I hope y'all enjoyed the fight. I enjoyed it. I was just really disappointed in the decision.
Okay. How much do you think his weight problems affected him? Because he was disappointing while you did your best there, Troy.
You know, there's no excuses in this ring. I'm not going to make any excuses. He can't make any excuses.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
do you think you'll get a rematch up there?
He just said that.
I don't know. I don't have any idea what their plans are. I heard they was going to move up weight, so I don't know. But Troy deserves another shot at the title, and I'll see to it he gets it.
It's not very often we see you that angry. You're really angry with that decision.
Yes, I'm frustrated because I appreciate good scoring, but when they score a fight where a guy puts out the effort he did to take the title here today, it's just not fair. It's ridiculous.
So let's hear what the champion says through his manager-interpreter.
Nacho, can you ask Jorge, first of all, a lot of people didn't agree with that decision.
Dice que mucha gente no estuvo de acuerdo con la decisión. ¿Qué piensas? It's the same thing, like I say. You know, Troy does it from the United States. They use some people from the United States. So who you think he'll win? He win.
One question: why was he overweight? No one's actually answered that. Why did he come in overweight?
Because he got an infection in the stomach.
Okay.
So they eat great, and then he has to lose that weight. So that's the problem.
He's holding his hand. Has he got a problem with his hand?
Yeah. Little bit.
What's the problem?
It's a little pain. Yeah.
Well, everybody loves watching him in England. Can we get in Britain? Can we get a backflip just to finish the day?
Que todo el mundo te ama en Inglaterra, que se les puede hacer una maroma aquí.
Okay, no problem. Thank you. Thank you.
Inglaterra, I love you. It's a studio land.
Well, he says he's sorry he didn't do the backflip. I think he's run out of gas, Jim, now. What's your opinion now, finally, on that decision?
Yeah, well, we didn't see the face of a champion who really felt he had retained his title. Even as his face now, he looks more embarrassed than pleased with himself. I think even he feels that maybe Dorsey did enough. Oh, he's managed a backflip.
Oh, that's it. The next time, I'm convinced now we're going to see him as a challenger for the 9 stone 4 championship and not as the 9 stone champion. And what a character he is.
So that was a hotly disputed decision then. I thought Troy Dorsey had done enough to become the new world champion, but Paez hangs on to that title, only just. We're back in 2 weeks' time with another fight night, this time from the Midlands. I'm sure the action will be very good, but certainly the glitz won't be anything like Las Vegas or Jorge Paez. From the Las Vegas Hilton, good night.